Governor DeSantis of Florida on Monday signed into law one of these so-called Don't Say Gay bills that ban discussion of LGBTQ topics in public schools. You're the first openly gay member of a cabinet. What's your reaction to that law and to those bills more generally?
Look, I think bottom line is it's hurting kids. It's making it harder to be an LGBT. I mean, life is hard enough for let's say a middle school, for example, when you're not LGBTQ. It can be really challenging for kids who are different, or for kids whose parents are LGBTQ. I think about what life might be like for our kids when they start school. If they were in a place like Florida, that might stop them from mentioning that they had a great time over the weekend with their dads. And so, look, this is part of a very familiar political playbook. And I think the reason this political playbook is being pulled off the shelf is that you got a lot of folks who don't have actual plans for the things that are affecting so much of everyday life. They don't have a lot of solutions on supply chains or inflation or infrastructure. So they're looking for somebody to target, to change the subject to these cultural wars. And they're really doubling down on these culture wars where, look, we're going to stand our ground and make sure that we stand with people who are vulnerable, but also point out how we got here. Because at the end of the day, they're busy worrying about what books to ban. And we're over here figuring out which bridges to fix.
I was covering the Trump rally in Georgia on Saturday when Marjorie Taylor Greene, the far-right member of Congress from that state, took the stage and she said this to the crowd.
And you know what? Pete Buttigieg can take his electric vehicles and his bicycles, and he and his husband can stay out of our girls' bathrooms.
What goes through your mind when you hear a comment like that? How do you feel when you hear that?
Well, look, again, the reason you hear somebody like that making nonsensical, literally nonsensical comments like that, I don't know what you would do with an electric vehicle in any bathroom, is because they don't want to talk about what we're actually working on. They don't want to talk about, not only do they not have a plan on climate, they don't have a plan on inflation. You know, what we didn't hear was any kind of critique of our actual infrastructure policy, because it's a good policy. It's wildly popular and it's the right thing to do. So they're going to keep tripling down on anything that can divide and demonize and demoralize, and through that capture attention, right? And I think we need to also be smart about where we send our attention. I know the most shocking thing somebody said or did yesterday gets the most attention today, but if I were to make a list of the 10 or 20 or 50 or 200 members of Congress whose commentary or thoughts or words it would be most constructive to be debating or weighing right now, it wouldn't be the 2 or 3 members of Congress who get the most attention on Twitter for whatever outrage they tried to outdo each other on yesterday.